Glow Luminosity Pale Ale is more evidence that Cincinnati's craft beer scene is exploding. In fact, the Midwest and Southeast are the fastest growing markets for craft brewing and beer. According to research by the Nielsen Company, Cincinnati saw the second highest growth in dollar volume of beer, as well as the second highest growth in craft brewers' dollar share of the beer market among U.S. cities. Cincinnati was surpassed only by Birmingham, Alabama. For some insight into Cincinnati's resurgence as a premier beer town, we are joined by Luis Gallardo, Director of Sales and Marketing for Rheingeist. He's with Business Watch producer Kelly Leon in the studio. Luis and Kelly.
Thanks, Peg. Luis, thanks for being here.
No, thanks for having me.
So are you surprised by those stats?
Surprised and not surprised. Of course, we didn't think that we'd come in the #2 position in the whole country.
Yeah.
But also not surprised in the sense that we've never seen anything in other cities such as San Diego and Boston. The growth that we've experienced here, our biggest problem so far, which from a business standpoint is not a bad problem to have, is not being able to keep up with demand. So ideally we'd be expanding faster, but without being able to fulfill the demand here in Cincinnati, it doesn't make sense to expand elsewhere.
Yeah. So we've seen so many breweries come online. How does it work in your community? Are you collaborators or are you competitors?
Yeah, it's interesting because when Bryant and Bob were building the business plan, they were, I think, 5 breweries here in Cincinnati. Then when we started, there were 12, now there's over 20. So to a lot of people, I think, I gave a lot of the tours at Rheingeist. Some people are kind of hide the fact that they like Madrid. Oh, I actually like this IPA better.
Right.
And the reality is that while on paper we are competition, we're all really good friends and collaborators.
Yeah.
Cincinnati hasn't reached anywhere near the level of saturation that it might in the future. So we're not really competing, more collaborating over different beer styles. And it's pretty exciting because, at least for the consumer, it's the most exciting part because not only do you have this great variety, but you have all these brewers who are pushing themselves and kind of propelling the diffusion of innovation. So Madtree might be pushing a sour, and then we might come out with a barrel-aged beer.
Yeah.
And someone might be not pressured, positive pressured
yeah.
into experimenting with ciders.
Yeah.
So for the consumer, it's just this overwhelming amount of beer that's heading their way, which I don't think is a bad thing.
No, it's funny. We do a lot of beer stories on this
yeah.
program, and so beer is good business here in Cincinnati.
It is. I mean, and we've had, I think, a unique opportunity. I think it's exploded here, especially because it has so many generations of
yeah.
brewing history. I think in the 1890s, Cincinnati, by population, used to be the 3rd largest producer of beer.
Yeah.
And then with Prohibition, everything kind of just vanished.
Yeah.
And in the city before a Madtree or Rheingeist got started, you had places like Party Source in Kentucky or Neons. Mm-hmm. People or places that pushed craft beer but didn't really have the local craft to push.
Yeah.
And once we came on the map along with the other breweries, now over 20, they're able to push not only craft but also local craft. So
that's great.
They've really facilitated kind of this craft beer explosion here in Cincinnati.
Well, quickly, we have to ask you while you're here, what's your favorite Rheingeist?
So it always depends on the season. Right now, the one I'm most excited about is Streaker. Streaker, we launched it for the All-Star Game. It was a crowdsourced IPA. So an idea that I don't think too many people have done before. We basically had people vote on the different malts and hops. I was kind of worried that giving the people all the control over what this beer would become
yeah.
would turn into something just way too complex or mushy, and it ended up tasting pretty good, and everyone, including our head brewer, Jim Matt, is very excited about the way it turned out.
That's great. Well, we love having Rheingeist here in town. A lot of fun. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
No, thanks again for having me.